Close your eyes and breathe deeply. The air is cool and clean, carrying the scent of wood smoke and salt water. Tonight, you're traveling back over 1,000 years, back to a time before cities of steel and glass, before engines and electricity, before the constant noise of the modern world. You're going to a Viking village on the coast of Norway in the year 875 AD, but this isn't the Vikings of legend and violence. This is the Vikings of everyday life. The quiet moments, the peaceful evenings, the simple rhythms of a life lived close to the earth and sea. You're about to experience something most people never imagine, what it felt like to simply exist. In a time when life moved at the pace of the seasons, the tides, and the setting sun, let yourself drift back through the centuries, back to a quieter, simpler world. It's late summer. The sun is setting over the fjord, painting the sky in shades of amber, rose, and deep purple. You're standing at the edge of a small Viking settlement, a cluster of longhouses, nestled between the mountains and the sea. The village is home to perhaps 60 people, farmers, fishermen, craftspeople, and their families. These aren't the raiders of legend. These are people who work the land, tend animals, fish the cold waters, and gather around fires at night to share stories and warmth. The day's work is done. The fishing boats have been pulled onto the shore. The cattle have been brought in from the high pastures. The looms are silent. The forges are cooling. The village is settling into its evening rhythm. You walk slowly through the village, your feet padding softly on the packed earth path. The ground is cool beneath your feet. Around you, the longhouses rise like sleeping giants, long, low buildings with curved roofs thatched with layers of birch bark and turf. Smoke rises gently from the smoke holes in each roof, carrying the smell of burning pine and birch. The houses are built from thick timber, oak and pine, fitted together with such skill that they'll stand for generations. The walls are sealed with moss and clay to keep out the winter cold. Each house is both home and workshop, shelter and gathering place. As you walk, you hear the quiet sounds of evening settling over the village. From one longhouse, you hear the low murmur of voices, a father telling his children a story, perhaps, or a grandmother teaching a young girl to spin wool. The voices are soft, almost musical, speaking Old Norse in rhythms that sound like poetry. From another house comes the gentle scraping sound of someone working leather, making shoes, perhaps, or mending a harness. The work is slow, methodical, meditative. There's no rush. Winter is still months away. Somewhere, a dog barks once, then settles back into silence. Chickens murmur softly in their coops, tucking their heads beneath their wings. A goat bleats from its pen, answered by the low, comforting moo of a cow. But mostly, there is quiet. The kind of quiet that modern people rarely experience. No engines, no electricity humming through wires, no sirens or car alarms or notification sounds. Just the wind, the sea, and the soft sounds of a community at rest. You approach the largest longhouse, the chieftain's hall, where the community gathers for feasts and important decisions. But tonight, it's quiet. A warm golden light glows from the doorway, and smoke rises peacefully from the roof. You push aside the heavy woolen curtain that hangs over the entrance and step inside. The interior is dim, lit only by the central fire pit and a few small oil lamps made of soapstone. The fire burns low, more for light and comfort than heat on this mild summer evening. The flames cast dancing shadows on the wooden walls and beams. The hall is long and wide, with a high ceiling supported by massive wooden pillars, carved with intricate designs, dragons, ships, and winding knotwork that seems to move in the firelight. The walls are hung with woven tapestries dyed in rich colors, deep reds, golden yellows, and blues made from woad. The floor is covered with layers of rushes and dried herbs, thyme, juniper, and sweetgrass that release their scent when you walk on them. The smell is clean, fresh, earthy. Along the walls are sleeping benches, wide platforms covered with furs and woven blankets where the household will sleep later. But now, in the evening, they serve as seats. A few people are gathered around the fire. An old man with a long gray beard braided with leather cord sits on one of the benches, carving a small wooden figure, perhaps a toy for a grandchild, or a charm for protection at sea. His hands move slowly, skillfully, the knife whispering against the wood. Near him, a woman spins wool on a drop spindle, the motion so practiced it seems effortless. The spindle twists and drops, creating thread from the cloud of raw wool in her other hand. She hums softly an old tune, wordless, hypnotic. Two children lie on the floor near the fire, drawing pictures in the ash at the edge of the hearth with their fingers. They're quiet, content, half asleep in the warmth. A young man sits apart, carefully mending a fishing net, his fingers moving in a complex pattern of knots and loops. This is winter work, usually, but a net torn during the day's fishing can't wait for winter. He works steadily, patiently, his mind far away. No one speaks. There's no need. The companionship is in the shared space, the shared warmth, the shared quiet. You find a place on one of the benches near the fire and settle onto the furs. They're soft sheep reindeer, bare-layered, thick and warm. You sink into them, feeling your body relax completely. The fire crackles softly. A log shifts, sending up a small shower of sparks that drift upward and disappear into the darkness of the roof beams. The smoke rises slowly, finding its way out through the smoke hole, carrying with it the sweet smell of burning wood. You watch the flames. They're hypnotic, ever-changing, never the same from one moment to the next. Yellow, orange, red, blue at the base. The Vikings believed fire was alive, sacred, a gift from the gods. Watching it now, you understand why. The warmth seeps into your body. Your shoulders relax. Your jaw unclenches. The tension you didn't know you were carrying begins to melt away. Outside, you hear the wind picking up slightly, whispering around the eaves of the longhouse. But inside, you're protected. The thick walls, the low fire, the presence of others, it all creates a cocoon of safety and peace. The old man finishes his carving and holds it up to the firelight, examining it from all angles. Satisfied, he nods and tucks it into a leather pouch at his belt. Then he reaches for a carved wooden cup and drinks deeply from it, probably ale or mead, brewed by the household from barley and honey. He smacks his lips softly, sighs with contentment, and leans back against the wall, closing his eyes. Within moments, his breathing becomes slow and regular. He's not fully asleep, just resting, present but peaceful, as the evening deepens around him. The woman spinning wool begins to sing. Her voice is soft, barely above a whisper, but it carries in the quiet hall. The song is in Old Norse, the words incomprehensible to you, but the melody is ancient, mournful, beautiful. It's a song about the sea, perhaps, or the changing seasons, or a hero long dead. The tune rises and falls like waves, like wind through tall grass, like the rhythm of life itself. The children at the hearth have fallen asleep, curled together like puppies, their breathing soft and synchronized. One child's hand rests on the other's shoulder. They're safe, warm, loved. The young man with the fishing net pauses in his work, listening to the song. A small smile touches his lips. He knows this song. His mother sang it to him, and her mother before her, and back through the generations, an unbroken chain of melody and memory. You close your eyes and simply listen. The song, the fire, the wind outside, the breathing of sleeping children, the small sounds of the village settling into night. This is what peace sounded like 1,000 years ago. This is what safety felt like. This is what community meant, not Facebook friends or Instagram followers, but actual human beings sharing actual space, actual warmth, actual life. Your mind begins to quiet. The worries of your modern life, the deadlines, the bills, the emails, the endless tasks, they seem very far away now, impossible, almost. How could those things exist in a world with longhouses and spinning wheels and hand-carved toys? They don't exist. Not here, not now. You've left them behind, back in the future where they belong. Here, there's only this moment, this fire, this song, this peace. The woman's song ends, fading into silence like smoke dissipating in air. For a long moment, no one moves. The song hangs in the air, a gift given and received. Then she sets down her spindle and stands, stretching. She walks to one of the sleeping benches and begins to prepare it for the night, spreading additional furs, fluffing woven pillows stuffed with down and sweet grass. Others begin to move as well, slowly, unhurried. The evening is transitioning into night. There's no clock dictating when this must happen. The rhythm is natural, internal, guided by tiredness and darkness, and the completion of small tasks. The young man ties off his fishing net and carefully coils it. He stands, nods respectfully to the old man who may still be awake. Eyes closed, or may have drifted into sleep, it's impossible to tell, and moves toward the door. He'll sleep in his own family's longhouse tonight, but he's grateful for the company, the shared fire, the quiet evening in the chieftain's hall. You watch him push aside the curtain and step out into the night. For a moment, you see the world beyond the door, the deep purple sky now studded with stars. The silhouettes of mountains against the last glow of sunset, the silver shimmer of the fjord reflecting moonlight. Then the curtain falls closed again, and you're back in the warm, dim, peaceful interior. The fire is burning lower now. One of the household members adds a single log, not too much, just enough to keep the warmth through the night. The log catches, flames licking up its sides, and settles into a steady burn. You realize you're very comfortable. The furs beneath you are warm. The air smells of wood smoke, wool, and herbs. The temperature is perfect, cool enough to want the fire, warm enough to feel cozy and safe. Your eyelids are growing heavy. The day's journey walking through time itself to reach this place has left you peacefully exhausted. Not the exhaustion of stress or work, but the good, clean tiredness that comes from living fully, being present, experiencing something real. One of the children stirs in sleep, murmurs something incomprehensible, then settles again. The woman who sang earlier moves quietly around the hall, banking the fire slightly, checking that the door curtain is secure, touching each sleeping person, gently a hand on a shoulder, a soft pat on a head, not waking them, just connecting, making sure everyone is safe. Then she too lies down on one of the sleeping benches, pulling a thick woolen blanket over herself. Within moments, her breathing slows and deepens. The old man's gentle snoring begins a soft, rhythmic sound that's somehow comforting rather than annoying. It's a sound that says, "We're safe, we're together, we're home." You lie back on your bench, looking up at the roof beams barely visible in the dim firelight. The wood is dark with age and smoke, carved with protective symbols, solid and strong. This house has stood here for decades. It will stand for decades more. It's built to last, built with care, built by people who understood that a house isn't just shelter, it's sanctuary. Outside, you hear an owl call. Once, twice, 3 times. The sound is distant, lonely, but not sad. It's the sound of the night beginning its own life, its own rhythms. The wind picks up slightly, and you hear it moving through the village, rustling the thatched roofs, stirring the trees on the mountainside, carrying the scent of the sea. But inside, the walls hold firm, the fire burns steady. You're protected. This is what humans have always done, for thousands of years. Gathered together, shared warmth and food and stories and silence, created spaces of safety in the wilderness, turned houses into homes and strangers into family. Nothing has really changed. The technology is different, the clothes are different, the language is different, but the need for peace, for connection, for a warm fire and a safe place to rest, that's eternal. That's human. Your breathing slows to match the rhythm of the sleepers around you. In, out, slow and steady. Like waves on a shore, like wind through grass, like the turning of the seasons. You're part of something now, part of this household, this village, this moment in time. You're not alone, you're never alone. Across time and space, humans have always gathered like this, creating light in the darkness, warmth in the cold, community in the wilderness. The fire burns lower. The flames dance more slowly, casting softer shadows. The room grows dimmer, darker, more like a cave than a hall. But it's not frightening. It's peaceful, like closing your eyes at the end of a long day, like pulling a blanket over your head, like returning to the womb of the world. You feel yourself sinking, not falling, sinking, slowly, gently, into the furs, into the warmth, into the peace. Your body becomes heavy, relaxed, completely at rest. Your mind, usually so busy, so full of thoughts and plans and worries, grows quiet. Images drift through your consciousness, soft and dreamlike. You see the fjord silver in moonlight. You see fishing boats pulled up on the shore. You see smoke rising from longhouses against a twilight sky. You see mountains, endless and ancient, holding the village in their protective embrace. The sounds around you are fading now. The fire's crackle becomes distant. The breathing of the sleepers becomes part of the silence. Even the wind outside seems to be quieting, as if the whole world is settling into sleep. You're on the edge now, that soft boundary between waking and dreaming. that liminal space where time doesn't exist, where past and present and future all blend together. You're in the Viking village, but you're also in your own bed, in your own time. You're both here and there, both then and now, and it doesn't matter, it's all the same. Sleep is sleep, peace is peace, home is home. The last thing you're aware of is the warmth, not just the warmth of the fire or the furs, but something deeper, the warmth of human presence, the warmth of safety, the warmth of belonging. You're home, you're safe, you're at peace. And slowly, gently, like a boat drifting away from shore, you let go completely. The fire burns through the night. The village sleeps. The mountains stand watch. The fjord reflects stars. The wind whispers stories older than memory, and you sleep deeply, peacefully, held by time itself. In the morning, you'll wake in your own world, your own time, but you'll carry this with you, the memory of a quieter world, a simpler rhythm, a deeper peace. And whenever you need it, you can return. Close your eyes, breathe deeply, and walk back through time to the Viking village, where a fire always burns, where a place is always waiting, where you're always welcome. The longhouse is always there. The furs are always warm. The peace is always waiting. Return whenever you need refuge. The village remembers you. Sleep well, traveler. You're home. In the morning, when you wake, the modern world will be waiting. But for now, for these hours of sleep, you're somewhere else, somewhere ancient, somewhere peaceful. The Vikings understood something we've forgotten, that rest is sacred, that peace is essential, that sometimes the bravest thing you can do is simply stop. Sleep now as your ancestors slept, deeply, safely, held by the earth and the darkness and the ancient rhythms of life. The village keeps watch. You can rest.